What if God was one of us? Just a straight... I can't
Slob.
remember.
Just
a slob
like one of
of
us.
Come on.
Just a stranger on the bus trying to make his way home. Hello and welcome to the next episode of Matt and Todd Go to the Movies with special guest Tim Davis. This is the podcast where all three of us just saw a movie at our local Regal Cinema Theater, and now we're going to talk about it in the parking lot in Matt Time to Pilot, parked conveniently next to my Toyota Tacoma and Tim's Toyota Highlander. Matt, you should switch car companies.
Clearly, 2 to 3.
You're
2 to 1.
breaking up the gang here.
Although
I'll work on
I
that.
have to represent Otto.
Fair. We just saw a movie, and now, in the parking lot, we're going to talk about it. We're going to talk about such things as, should you see this movie? Should you not see this movie? Should you wait for streaming? Should you skip it all together? Should you bring snacks in the theater? Maybe you should pass on the snacks. Can you take a nap in this movie? Can you not take a nap in this movie? You know, we're going to try to get all the nitty-gritties in, as we hope to please your ear hole. I am Todd Domer.
And I'm Matt Malloy, and I'll even go so far as we are here to please both your ear holes.
Yeah.
That's right,
They
guys.
should go for 2. Unless
Yes.
you only have
I
one.
was not trying to aim so high so we don't fall so far, but
Well,
And even for you one-eared people like me.
I strive for quality. No matter how many ear holes you have, we want to fill them. Yeah. Well, yes. I'm Matt Malloy, and welcome to this podcast. It's going great so far.
Off the rails.
stellar.
Stellar. We got some Joan Osborne at the
yeah.
outset from Todd's musical repertoire. Love that.
Love that.
Now
And,
that I'm thinking about it, I think I've used that song already.
You probably
It is
have.
becoming hard to not double dip in the
Well,
song.
now
department.
we're near 200.
we are closing in on 200 episodes.
Yeah,
and
but remember, the first 20 was that when I was saying hi in different languages.
Yes, correct.
So really we're at like 180 of singing.
yeah. We should go back and redub
Finding
those
your
with
voice.
musics.
Finding your voice.
Well, we did see a movie tonight. This movie is called A Man Called Otto, and there is one famous person in it called Tom Hanks. He is the main star. He plays a man called Otto, and we were hemming and hawing and trying to figure out if there's anybody else in this movie, and I think our answer is no.
Not of
Not
like
famous name.
Yeah, I wouldn't say not of celebrity status.
Right.
Some up and comers. A comedian who's kind of maybe a little famous, but not past the threshold. I don't think
Right.
worth mentioning.
Correct.
So, Tom Hanks is the beginning and end of the A-listers.
Let's be real. If you're going to see this movie, it's probably because
It's
Tom
because of
Hanks
Tom.
is in it.
Well, yes. Or you've read the book, or you've
Well,
seen
yes,
the
I've
Swedish
read it.
version.
Yeah, I
of
was
this
going to say,
movie.
or you've seen the other movie that exists.
It's in Swedish, though. Well,
Well, poo to that.
I think it's in Swedish.
I would
Actually, I
assume
take
so.
that back. I think the
Can't
book
tell.
is not in Swedish.
No, but they made the movie.
I was in the movie is though, right?
Yeah. Well,
Anyway.
that's a mystery to be solved another day. So, what's this movie about? Well, this movie is about a man called Otto, who
Nailed
he's an older guy. He's living on his own.
Cranky.
He's cranky, and we find out through the course of this movie that he's lost his wife recently, and we also find out that he is interested in killing himself. And there's several attempts made in the movie to get that done, which all fail. And as he's kind of trying to live out his last days, he keeps getting kind of sucked into the neighborhood and sucked into the people around him and people who are kind to him and want him in their lives. And I think over the course of the movie, a new couple moves in on the street, and he starts to get involved with them. And throughout the course of the movie, we see him kind of grieving the loss of his wife, as well as looking for places to live, I guess.
Yeah.
in his neighborhood and in his world. And he's a cranky old man throughout, but he makes some great connections, and in the end decides not to try and kill himself anymore. So I'm gonna leave it there.
Yeah.
As far as what we reveal. I revealed a bit, but I don't think I went all the way. And yeah, so we watched it. This is actually the second time that I've seen this movie.
Boo.
But everybody else, first time. And so, Todd, I will ask you the question. What is your gut reaction to A Man Called Otto?
Gut reaction time. The first thing I have to say is that I really thought I was going to hate this movie. I was not won over by the trailers. I was like, Tom Hanks is a grumpy old man, like whatever. For most of my life, if I wanted a grumpy old man movie, I'd go watch Grumpy Old Men or whatever the John Lithgow.
Or even
Not
Gran
John Lithgow.
Torino.
What am I talking about? Walter Matthau and John Lemon.
Yes.
Jack Lemmon?
Jack Lemmon.
Jack Lemmon. But, you know, like, and I thought there was a possibility by just not being interested in this movie, I'd go in and I would be like, just a little pleasantly surprised. And I'd be like, all right, it was not a waste of my time. But I really actually enjoyed this movie a lot more than I thought I was going to. And I think, you know, I think the acting's well done. And I think a lot of people did their parts incredibly well. But I think what really drew me into this movie, and I had, just as an indication on how much I was into this movie, I still had like half of a soda left by the time the movie ends, which
That's an indicator.
hardly ever happens unless I'm really into the movie. But I think what really, really drew me into this movie were, like, I like the touching on suicide, and I like how they kind of developed, you know, almost like why he was considering suicide or trying to commit suicide. And I like how they dealt with the suicide subject, which can sometimes be hard. But I really dug how they shared Otto's backstory. It was kind of like every time he would try to do a suicide attempt, or like every time he was trying to commit suicide, that's when you would get a flashback to understanding who this person was. And I thought it was just really interesting storytelling. Like a mixture of, you know, him remembering these things and maybe hallucinating because of the different ways he tries to, you know, to kill himself. But I really was engaged with the fact that every time he was attempting to end his life, you got shown more of his life. Like, and kind of like peeling back that curtain. And I thought that was very, very well done. Because typically, in my opinion, with these types of movies, if you have a character who's like, not just down on their luck, but they have nothing to live for and suicides in their mind and stuff like that. A lot of times what happens is that you get build up, and then it's like a huge reveal of what the backstory is. It's all done at once. And I'm not saying that's bad or anything, but I really dug, you know, there's like 4 suicide attempts in this movie, and each time is when you get to know a little bit more and you see the backstory and stuff like that. And I really just got enthralled by that storytelling mechanism. I can't think of too many movies I can't think of any right now, but that have done that kind of formula. And I just like really thought it was innovative of taking a story that's kind of burnt out at this point of old man is cranky because of old man reasons, and then finds friends and a will to live through neighbors and stuff like that. Like, we've seen it a lot. But this was the first time it was told in such a way that I thought the story was just so engaging. So that was phenomenal. I mean, like, I thought the script was pretty tight and good. Like, there was nothing that was like super out of place or anything like that. Like, I just really feel like it was firing on almost all cylinders, and I really dug the end result. Like, so if you're like me and you've got these thoughts of like, I don't want these movies, and like, you know, if that's what you're thinking, I think this one takes the genre and spins it enough that it feels fresh and new and a different take. on this kind of story, and I thought they did really well with it. So, besides that main point, everything else, there's a lot of good. I mean, like I said, I think the acting goes from good to great. I don't feel like anyone was a huge weak link in this movie or anything like that. I thought everyone did really well. The main woman in this movie, who was the first person to kind of befriend Otto, I thought she did incredibly well. And for someone that we don't really know that well, I mean, I think when we were looking, she's done like
A lot of Mexican TV and theater.
So I mean, I mean, maybe it's because I expected nothing, and I'm like really happy with what I got, or it's just that much of a solid movie. Either way, I mean, I'm gonna sit here and say I think this is a movie worth seeing for sure. I don't know if there's a spectacle to say, hey, you need to see this movie in theaters. I don't think anything translates to the theater to go, oh yeah, you need to see it in theaters. You don't wait on it. You need to see it. And that's not because anything's bad. It's just, it's not a CG big blockbuster. Nothing is really ramped up by being on the huge screen. So I think if you're just not that much of a moviegoer for the theaters, you want to wait for streaming, I think that's fine. But I would endorse this movie for anyone to see of an appropriate age. So yeah, I was very pleasantly surprised. It's going to get some high marks from me. And I'm eager to hear everyone else's. Tim?
I will mostly agree with you, Todd. I think character study movies like this can fall into tropes. And while there were some here, it all was done and told in a way, both through acting and directing, that just felt fresh and engaged the whole way through. And this director does that kind of stuff. I mean, I was looking him up, and because I recognize his name, he did Finding Neverland, he did Stranger Than Fiction, so he's good at the kind of character dives into, and doing kind of interesting shots, like you said, with the suicide attempts, but also being, not only are we talking about ending life here, let's show more of his life, and that was a great technique. And of course, when you anchor it with Tom Hanks, who can really dial in whatever emotion you need out of your movie, where, you as an audience member, kind of, no matter what Tom Hanks is playing, whether he's a good guy or a cranky guy, you're just like, I know there's more there, and I want to see what's going on with it. And Tom just is able to bring that out of even a character that you're not supposed to like, but you just kind of go like, okay, there must be some reason why he's like this. And the movie peels it back in a way realistically where you're like, I totally get why this guy is this way. And it's not like he's some guy who did a 180 or it was like a complete character shift. It's just like when you took what happened to him through his life to get to this point, it all adds up. And a good movie does that, where the person's on their logical path to where they're ending up. And like you said, the characters around him were also anchors to this story. You couldn't have had his growth and development without them around him. And, like you said, unknown actors for the most part, stealing the show by being good in their own way, playing off of him and him playing off them. And they're written they felt like humans. They felt like people. They didn't feel like actors. They didn't feel like, oh, this is a Hollywood role. Like, they felt like people in real life. And I felt like that really helped this movie get there. And, it's just everything about it. I thought, yeah, like you said, I didn't know what to expect going in. I don't think the trailer sold it very well. But character study movies like this are hard to sell. Yeah. And you just go in thinking, well, Tom Hanks is doing some kind of character thing. Let's see what it's like. And like you, Todd, it blew me away as well. And I will also be giving it high marks. Fair enough.
Matt?
Well, like I said, this is the second time that I've seen it.
Boo!
And
we need your gut reaction.
Yes, you'll get my gut reaction, but
yes,
do want to say that I thought that this movie, I agree that this movie is different enough from other movies that are like it that I pushed for us to try and review this and try and see it together because I thought that it was a different enough spin on the grumpy old man trope that it was worth our time. So what did I think? You guys have have said a lot of what I think. Tom Hanks absolutely crushed his part. I thought that the woman Marisol, who plays immigrant from Mexico, bilingual, super bubbly, super like shifting languages all the time, and like playing this role of like someone who cares,
and it kind of in your face in a way that like not in a caring way, like she wants to find out what's going on whether you want her to or not.
Right. So engaging, and really also nails the acting part, playing her role perfectly. And there's in this neighborhood there's a bunch of interesting characters.
Yes.
Who come on the scene and play their role and move off the scene, but it's enjoyable. I thought that the pacing of this movie was incredible.
Yes.
We see that in Todd's drinking status for
Yes,
today.
yes, it keeps, yeah.
He was engaged the whole time. I was too.
There's no slow
And
parts, really.
there's no real downtime in this movie. Everything is working hard to tell you the story
Yes.
of Otto and Otto's life.
No
and,
wasted
and
scenes.
They're
Yeah.
correct. And the other thing that I'll mention is the music in this movie is picked very, very well.
Sure.
There's a scene where we get I think it's Woman's Work by Kate Bush, and it's perfectly played there, and I love that song, and I love how it was used in the film. So yeah, I mean, if you want to make me say something bad about this movie, I guess I could say like there are a couple like a little bit awkwardly acted weird scenes. A couple, maybe. I could say that, and I could say that maybe some of the solutions to the neighborhood problems come about very easily. You could say that's a little bit paint by number, like, oh, of course that's going to work out. But I think that's counterbalanced by the serious themes of suicide, of death, of loss, and of grief that really give so much weight to the movie and the impact that it can have on you. I mean, I'll say it. I cried the first time I saw this movie. I cried tonight, and I'm always willing for a movie to take me to a place where I feel something, and that doesn't happen often. Obviously, a lot of movies, they're not designed for that. But when they are, and when they succeed in taking you to a place where you feel something, I think that's a special movie, and I think that this is a special movie. So it will get high marks from me as well, and that's what I have to say about that.
Nice. Yeah, and I think something I thought of while you guys were talking is that I think there's still a lot to unpack with this movie because there's just so many themes in it. Like, the old neighborhood is dying, new neighborhoods are coming in. It kind of parallels with Otto's life. He's kind of checking out, and he doesn't like the new generation. He doesn't like, I think there'll be a lot of time thinking about this movie, and I like when movies make you do that. Like, because then it's like, if you get to the deeper meaning of it, or if you get to some epiphany about it, you earned it. Like, because you had to put in the time thinking about it.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, I guess we all can't say enough good things about it. So, how many... how many Chevy vehicles would you give this movie?
Yeah, okay.
I had to defer from using any of his suicide attempts as the rating. But Otto being a Chevy man is a really big part of this movie.
Yeah, that's actually really important.
So yeah, obviously Zero being the worst because then you have no Chevys and no one's going anywhere, and that's it. 5 being the best because then you got a vehicle and some to share and maybe give away, and everyone's happy. So let's start with the old double seer, Matt.
That's what they call me, the double seer.
He has 2 eyes.
2 eyes, 2 ear holes, but only 1 mouth.
Oh.
And now it will tell you how many Chevy vehicles I will rate this movie. A movie like this where I'm struggling and maybe grasping at straws to pull out like bad things about the movie means that it's going to be right up there, and so I'm going to give this movie a very high rating of 4.7 Chevy cars out of 5.
That is among your
Chevy
highest.
vehicles.
Chevy
Okay, 'cause
vehicles.
It's not just cars. In the
I
movie.
apologize.
I believe that is among one of your highest numbers.
It is one of my highest numbers ever. But I think that this movie has earned it.
I agree.
So
Good stuff.
that's where I'll leave.
Tim?
I do agree it breaks a 4.0 for me as well. Not as high as you, but that's not a knock on it at all. I have it at a 4.2.
Okay.
Nice. Yeah, I mean, there's things that it's hard for me to decide if I really loved or if I just am I mean, I do really like this movie. Part of me feels like I'd like to know a little bit more about Otto because there's enough there to pick up on some stuff, but it doesn't go into truly deep detail that I think he suffers from OCD and he's got a lot of things going on with him. They allude to it all through flashbacks of his lifetime or something like that, but it's never actually talked about. Which maybe it doesn't need to be. I don't know. I'm still digesting all that. So I'm going to land with the first number I thought of walking out of the theater. Ask me in a week, it could go up, it could go down, I have no idea. But I'm landing on a 4.0. I think this movie's worth seeing. I think it's really good. I think the storytelling does a really good job. I mean, I might land on the side of we don't need anything else. They gave us everything. But I just can't talk enough about how the layout of the story was so engaging that you just don't see movies like this too many times nowadays. It didn't rely on too many tropes. It didn't rely on any flashiness. It just a lot of we've talked about this for other movies that we've given high marks. A lot of scenes that let the characters breathe and gave them time to do a lot of stuff. It wasn't like quick cutaways or anything like that. It was a lot of just human interaction and allowing time and scenes to the actors to really fulfill that emotion. And, you can't do that unless you got a strong script. You can't do that unless you got strong actors. So I think everything came together to make this a good movie. So 4.0 Chevy vehicles for me.
There you go. All right. Well, any last thoughts before we wrap up for the evening?
I think we should shout out to Mariana Treviño is the name of the actress playing Marisol. I believe she's worthy of being named because she almost stole this movie from Tom, I would argue.
Yeah.
On performance alone,
Yes.
she gets named.
She was great.
Not because she was famous or not.
No, but I think her name should deserve to get known for how good she is in this.
Yeah.
Well said.
I do have to say, okay, and this isn't total knock on the movie, but I had I almost bursted out laughing. It's such a bad point to be laughing. But it was because there was the music didn't shift and change in time for what was happening. So in the scene where he's coming into his house to basically hang himself, and he's all ready for it, because of everything that's led up to that scene, the music is playful.
I remember that.
And kind of like do. There's almost this tonal big thing coming, and then it comes to the point where he's putting the rope on his neck, looking all seriously, and the tones are still going for like two
I
more
think
seconds.
that was on purpose.
And then it was like a serious thing. I was like,
Yes.
late to the punch there, serious
No,
music.
I think they wanted. I don't know why, but that seems like that was a calculated choice.
It just felt weird to me.
It did. No, I know
but
what
it's
you
all
mean.
it's one of the only it's only one of the only real knocks I can give the movie. As a fair person here who likes to rate everything.
Yes. Well, I will mention one other thing that we haven't talked about yet, which is the fact that there are flashback scenes where we get Tom Hanks's character, and that young Otto is played by Tom Hanks's nephew, Truman.
Okay, I was
Hanks.
wondering who Truman Hanks was.
Yeah. So
Thinking about the flashback episodes, something I think that it was I really liked, and I want to highlight. Sorry, I'm going on here. Is that in almost all of the flashback scenes, anytime that young Otto's in a reflection, it's Tom Hanks in the reflection.
Yes.
Which I was like, ooh, that's a nice touch.
Oh,
Yeah.
and another stylistic choice they made was his reflection. His flashbacks were in brighter color,
Right.
whereas the current day stuff was very moody and dark and muted, which kind of also mirrored how he was not truly living. I
Yeah.
thought that was a nice visual choice.
yeah, color was a theme kind of throughout that they wove in throughout the
Yes.
movie, both literally
Yes.
in
Or when
some
you went
cases.
when you went to the other neighbors' houses, it was more colorful as well.
Right. So,
Yeah, that was on purpose.
all right.
We haven't talked about it because I don't know when it came out, but we haven't talked about at all the year-end review email that we got from.
That's true.
So I assume you saw it then.
Yes.
And the staggering amount of people in Australia who listen to our
Australia.
podcast.
Oi.
Australia, Sydney,
Sydney.
Australia was a big.
And
was-
one other place that I was.
Wow.
Yeah, it was.
Shout out to our Australian listener.
That's right.
Sorry, Matt, continue. I'm just going to see if I can find that email real quick.
Yeah. Well, I can fill time for you because I was going to wrap up.
Okay.
So, but yeah, we had our podcast had almost 4,000 downloads
Last year, yeah.
last year.
That's
Yep.
great.
So we're obviously
hear
excited
us.
about that. And yeah, our number one city was Sydney, Australia, for some reason.
Wow.
You know what? I can go over the stuff real quick.
Yeah, do it.
All right, go.
Number of episodes in 2022, 48.
Yeah, nice.
Most
Almost
popular
made it
is-
to 50.
Almost. Most popular was Sydney, but the breakdown it gives us other notable cities is Columbia, Baltimore, Conway, South Carolina,
Okay.
and Frankfurt. Frankfurt Maine.
That's got to be
I don't know
Germany.
what's
I think
happening
that's
somewhere in
Germany, yeah.
Germany. We're in 55 countries.
Yeah.
So obviously the U.S. was our biggest. We had 913 downloads, but then right up there is not right up there, but next is Australia with 111. Germany, United Kingdom, and then my favorite at the end is South Korea.
That's right.
Yeah.
South Korea coming in strong.
Our freaking top our top listen stuff, it blows my mind. Okay,
Yes.
starting from number 5,
Okay.
Wrath of Man,
Oh,
Right.
wow.
which I don't understand why that's on.
Maybe that was a popular movie.
I guess
Where were
it's
we?
also it's a little cheating because it's not just from this year.
Yeah.
I think it's the highest total.
But it is the highest total for this year.
Oh, it is.
Like,
Okay.
yeah.
Oh, interesting.
Number 4 is Yes Day. Number
Oh, wow.
3 is Below Zero.
A lot of your
Number
pandemic.
yeah, I know they're all pandemic ones except for Wrath of the Man. I think we saw that in theaters.
Yeah.
We Can Be Heroes is number 2, and then the Secret Magic Control Agency is number 1.
By far our most downloaded episode.
Wow.
Like
Yeah.
it's at like 500 or 600 downloads and nothing else is even really close.
Wow.
All right, and then
it's strange.
total downloads for the year was 2,982.
Oh, okay, I was wrong.
48
Still, that's
episodes,
still- that's
55
still good.
countries. Total minutes was 1,416 minutes.
Wow.
Nice.
Yeah, that's the year-end
That's a
review.
lot.
That's the year in review 2022. This year
We're gonna beat it.
we're gonna beat
Yeah,
it.
we are.
We are gonna make it at least 50 podcasts this year.
I do think each year. I mean, we're on an upward trajectory. I don't
There's no
think one
reason
year
we
has
can't do
dipped below than the other.
Yeah, one
No.
movie a week at least.
Yep. Okay. Well, now
There you go.
we're going to wrap up this episode of Matt and Todd Go to the Movies, where we saw A Man Called Otto, and we really liked it. We gave it an average rating of 4.3 Chevy vehicles out of 5, which
darn
is that's
Really
pretty
good for us.
Really good for us. Yes, we rarely stray above the 4. Much
Sometimes
less-
we have high, and then one person will be low, or
person
vice
brings it.
versa.
Right.
Yes. Not today.
Everybody was 4 or higher, and so yeah, we ended up with a nice rating of 4.3. So yeah, go see A Man Called Otto. There's a Swedish version, A Man Called Ovi, and there's a book also called A Man Called Ovi. So you have your choice. I can only comment on the movie, and
Well, the American movie.
correct.
Yeah.
The American movie, not the Swedish version. But anyway, thanks for listening. Thanks for making our 2022 great by downloading and listening a lot and subscribing. And let's make 2023 also great. Please continue to do those things. And we will see you next time.
Da 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 da
Da da
da da da.
da da da.